Welcome to BeerNet Radio. Listen to on every continent except Antarctica. B-E-E-R-R-N-E-T.
Beer.
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 Beer. Beer. Beer.
BeerNet Radio.
Harry,
Hello, Justin. How are you?
how are you? Great.
I'm doing good. Sorry, let me let everybody in. So I had, I'm in the process of moving to a new house, and my new house doesn't have internet. So I went to my old apartment to do this podcast, which still has internet, and then I didn't bring my keys. And so luckily there's a bar across the street with internet. So
Perfect.
But thanks for joining us. Welcome to BeerNet Radio, and thanks for being here. You know, big news, huh? Why don't we talk about that? And I'm going to put myself on mute because it's really loud in here. So Jenn and
well,
Jordan,
hold on, because I just lost my screen. We're a little okay. I got it back. We're a little rusty around here.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've
right.
done a podcast together. So you're our first one of the year. So thanks for coming on because kind of exciting news, eh?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's an honor. Thank you for having us. Very exciting news for U.S. Beverage. It's our 25th year in business, you know, in the beer world. So it's a great first initiative to kick things off for our company. We are absolutely thrilled to be, you know, partnered with Uinta. Jeremy Ragonese is you know, an industry veteran, and his team is top notch. We're thrilled. We love the beer. We love Utah, and it's a perfect fit for our portfolio.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for sharing it with us. So I have all of the questions, Justin, and nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Jenn.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I've got to do the trite. Why now, right? You guys have never done anything like this in your history. You had to do a JV with Crestone, correct? A family office in order to do this. So why bring, you know, a craft, you know, iconic craft beverage as part of your team now? I mean, is it going to be, are you guys looking at more such things? And how does Crestone, how are they involved as well?
Yeah, no, we'll start there. It's a great partnership with Crestone. They specialize, and their expertise in other areas has been in manufacturing. Our experience at U.S. Beverage for 25 years has been, you know, building brands, managing a sales force, you know, selling brands throughout the U.S. and all 50 states. So it was kind of a perfect team to partner with, to go out and find, you know, a brand that, you know, we think has tremendous relevance within the craft beer industry. As well as a state-of-the-art brewery that's, you know, sort of second to none. It was kind of a perfect marriage all around. And, you know, for us, this is our first step into ownership of a brewery. What the Uinta Brewery offers us outside of a fantastic brand is the ability to have production capabilities to either reach out for other, you know, contract brewers in the West Coast, or manage some of the production of the brands that are currently in our portfolio. But most importantly, we found a brand that we think has tremendous potential, that's proven itself over the past 29 years with literally an A-plus senior management team. And Jeremy is the leader of that.
Yeah, we know Jeremy. He's a great guy. We've been on.
Well, Jeremy just joined us. So welcome, Jeremy, to BeerNet Radio.
I apologize.
Yeah.
I had a little AV
No.
trouble, guys, but it's very much an honor to be with you, and good morning,
Likewise.
I guess. So,
How are you
Likewise,
doing?
yeah.
Long time no
Great.
see in person, unfortunately.
I know, yes, it has been far too long that we've met in person, but it's great to see all of your faces again, and especially with such exciting news and starting the year off, I think, on the right foot for sure for 2022, or at least, let's hope. Right now, the COVID numbers in Salt Lake City are not doing us any favors, but I'm excited to get back to CBC and start seeing some friends, some familiar industry faces.
So have you told Justin how hard it is to run a production brewery?
Luckily those guys have quite a few years in the business, and they've poked their heads in a few breweries in that time frame. But this has been an interesting couple of years, to say the least. Uinta had a unique history. Just Utah itself is an environment to have to learn and to adapt to, of course. But Uinta has been pretty adept at that, and built a great history and great business with Utah as our home base, and continue to do well here. But given the challenges of the last couple of years, we've had to learn to be quick on our feet, to pivot early and often. And I think that's one of the things that we actually, a lot of that ability to react and also, from the standpoint of having a team that's as adept as mine at dealing with the little things that can come in to manufacturing, we offer quite a bit to the U.S. Beverage team. And what they do is complement us. We've got the experience on the production side, and certainly have our home base locked up. But out of state, as we've seen, the industry shifts happen and other things. We made a pivot back in 2019 strategically to focus on the core Western territory. And these guys afford us an opportunity to really get back in the market and become, what Uinta's promise was in the early years. So it's a marriage of complementary strengths, I would say, at this point in time.
Very cool. And not uncommon right now, right? We're seeing lots of pivots and responses to competitive landscape. How long have you guys been talking, and how did you guys meet?
Justin, you want to start?
Yeah, I would say our dialogue's been about, over a year. We, U.S. Beverage, with the Crestone team, have been, looking to get in this space, I'd say, for about 3 or 4 years.
Interesting.
We've had, various conversations and opportunities come across us, and we kept always coming back to Uinta and Jeremy and his team. And that was our target all along, and here we are.
Yeah, from my perspective, we've spent the last couple of years really focusing on operations, number one, really reinvesting back in the plant and training, and it was really a remarkable change just in the last couple of years with our focus here in the core territory. We've seen our depletions rising steadily and gaining share here in the Salt Lake market. Facing a lot of headwinds out of state, but focusing on some innovation and other things to be able to help bolster the business. So when Justin and the team came back to us, we were remarkably stable, cash flow positive, feeling really good about the future. And it was, again, kind of a building point for us. And so, having gone through what we've gone through in terms of the team structure and just sort of uniting the culture and creating an opportunity for us to start thinking about growth again, when Justin and his team came in, we started having strategic conversation with an engaged owner. And that hasn't happened here for a while. So it's really been, for us, about that rebuild, but also about looking, the management team here looking to the future. And Justin and his team really enabled us to be able to do that.
I was surprised that there will be no route to market changes with this deal. Is that correct? And kind of, I thought that U.S. Bevs really has some sort of relationships there. So I'm curious how that works out.
I'll answer that. No, right now we're sort of analyzing the business. We're analyzing the distributor network that is in place. Mm-hmm. There will most likely be some route to market changes. But we're not jumping into those. We want to, see what's going on with the brand in all of the markets. Utah obviously is the core market, and our core position is there. However, there is opportunity, we feel, outside of Utah to bring this brand back into a prominent role. So I would say over the next 90 days, we'll be analyzing our network, and there inevitably will probably be some changes.
I have a special place in my heart for U.S. Beverage, because we got started at right around the same time. Beer Business Daily and U.S. Beverage, I think within maybe a year or so. And so I remember, that was my early stories that I used to write were about U.S. Beverage. And, having the distribution and retail relationships is the value add, right? And is that what you guys bring to the table for Uinta and Uinta? And then also, do the mountains really go east and west?
I'll start with the second part of that question. The mountains go east west, and they right now they're snow covered and looking beautiful. So
I think
come out and visit us.
I think I think it's bullshit, and I'm gonna have to come
Please
to see the East West Mountains to prove it.
I think you need to.
I've been to Salt Lake City, but that's not Utah. I really would love to come, and I've heard it's just absolutely beautiful. So I will make a trip someday.
Excellent. Justin, you can tackle the first part.
Sure. Now, Harry, as you know, and as you said, our business 25 years has been built on relationships, and those relationships have been built with an incredible group of distributors in all 50 states. I think over the 25 years, we've probably represented one brand with almost every distributor in the country. However, we see our sales team, and their relationships with distributors throughout the country as, helping us. The fact that we have a diverse portfolio, we're selling ciders, we're selling FMBs, we have import brands, many regional, many international. Walking into a distributor and our partners and working with them on a diverse portfolio, I think helps us as a company, particularly where the industry is right now. And I think Uinta is our first, craft beer add to our portfolio since the days of us representing Rogue and Goose Island, 15 years ago. So Uinta has always been, or a craft beer brand is kind of the missing link to our portfolio right now. And we do have plans to, build on to that as we move forward.
I have to say, it used to be easier to just roll into a market and say, hey, I'm either going to pick the AB or the Molson Coors distributor, and I'm going to roll in 48 states. Those days are over, right?
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about the challenges of entering? Because it's you guys, that's kind of what you do is you have an infrastructure and relationships, like we said. And can you describe the challenges of entering a new market and how you go about it?
Sure. Well, I think you nailed it. There is no longer a cookie cutter approach to how you enter the market. We have some regional brands, we have some ethnically focused brands that may make sense for a wholesaler, and they're our perfect option for that route to market. However, that may not make sense for a craft brand like Uinta or Innocent Gun or even Malibu Splash on the FMB side. So we basically look at every territory and every market sort of with a wide open canvas and think about which wholesaler makes sense. It could be the Anheuser-Busch network, it could be the Miller Coors network, it could be the craft specialty brand as well. So it's part of our it's probably the most important thing we do, frankly, is to analyze the business, analyze the brand, and then and then find the right distributor. And that's part of the process we'll be going in over the next 90 days, as I mentioned, with Uinta in some of the out-of-state markets.
I can reflect on the challenges that we had back in the days when Uinta started to go national and do a lot of things. At the point where the investments were being made, dates back to prior even to my tenure here. But the investments were made on the sales and marketing front to try and launch as a national brand, and that window had largely already closed or was closing. And chain retailers were becoming focused on that hyper local sensation and really capturing that. I don't want to, get over my skis on this one a little bit, but I have a feeling a lot more retailers and other folks are looking for reliability as much as they're looking for good partnerships. And, through COVID, Uinta established ourselves as a very reliable partner for some of our major chains, and they've leaned more heavily into us because consumers responded. And it had nothing to do with being comfort brands. It had everything to do with getting your beer to the shelf, and everything we could do to manage our business and do it the right way, helped restore some of the faith I think that the brand had lost maybe in those previous years, just as a matter of competition, not as a matter of, doing anything wrong or becoming irrelevant. The brand still has a high degree of relevancy. And here in the Mountain West region particularly, we've got a lot of brand recognition. And that can go a long way in this kind of an environment. So while I still think there's a lot of the new, what's next going on from consumers, a 12-pack of Cutthroat every day, all day is still a good beer to have on your shelf. And so there's a lot more of that we can do, even if we're not going to see the 3, 4, 5 facings that we might have seen in the 2014 era when we first transacted. But that still allows us some run room and gives us runway. The other thing that I would emphasize is the Uinta has always had production business for contract, and that's something that this could be a real nice pivot to continue to fill up capacity with. We've had some great partnerships over the years on contract and private label, and
Are you guys going to start making Moosehead?
I don't know. I don't have any green bottles right now, but
no, nobody has green bottles.
Nobody has green bottles.
Nobody has any bottles.
That is 100% the case.
Clear, blue, brown. Yeah. I mean, shit.
Let's just say there's a can plant that decided to set up shop here in Salt Lake City. They became my new best friends. So there's going to be more change to come for Uinta, but at the end of the day, if we fill up capacity with this plant, Moosehead or otherwise, I'm excited for the opportunities. And Salt Lake can be a beachhead for the West for good beer from now on, and it always has been, frankly. But it
is a good location, I would think, for contract production as far as everybody's like East Coast, West Coast, Texas, East Coast, West Coast, Texas, Florida. But Salt Lake City's kind of got that mountain range, like you could service the Midwest and the West Coast.
Yep, that's
easily,
right.
Right.
It's a very favorable route through I-80, I-15, north, south, east, west, to the Pac Northwest or the West, to California, where regulations are tighter, and there's a whole lot of industry headwinds, I would say, in some markets like that. We're still a wide open field here. We're sandwiched between two of the biggest markets in the country, between California and Colorado. For that standpoint, we're still one of America's playgrounds. So a lot of people come here to experience new brands as well. And, there's a lot of good reasons why Salt Lake City is a great place to be doing business right now.
It's a beautiful spot. Usually I go into a long-winded anecdote at this point in the podcast that I have to edit out later. So I'm just going to spare you the anecdote, and we'll just go to the next question.
I'll save you, Harry. Hey guys.
Thanks, Jenn.
How are you?
So Jeremy, you talked about pulling back to the western half of the U.S. A couple of years ago, and that's working. So how quickly do you plan to shift that strategy and kind of focus on expanding outside of the western half again?
Sure. There was a lot of very purposeful decisions around that retrenchment to the West, and it really did enable us to kind of focus on what mattered most for us and really develop, again, a relationship or a bond with some of the wholesalers in this region that we could then build off of. Because as the expansion happened, you lose focus and sometimes those strains begin to appear. So at this point in time, we still have some great relationships in the East. We're actually still shipping beer to a handful of states in the East, and we didn't stop. In those relationships really can become beachheads for us, but we don't need to dramatically start adding markets. I think from Justin's team standpoint, we're going through an evaluation process and really determining where we go. And there are still markets here in the West where we don't have current sales representation. Justin's team's going to pick up the brand, and that's our target for, the immediate future, is just reinforce the positions that we already have that have some distribution and some real relevance to the market. And in the East, there were states like Ohio and Pennsylvania, which we're still in, and some others that did really well with Detour and Hopnosh. And I'm anxious to start having some of those conversations again. But at the end of the day, nobody's in a mad rush just to get Uinta brands back in markets where it didn't necessarily have that kind of relevance. It's just going to be a conversation, and then ultimately it'll come down to, is there an opportunity or not?
Got it. And so it sounds like as you return to maybe some of those old markets, Justin, as you mentioned, the analysis will be there again. It's not necessarily aligning with U.S. Beverage. If you had a good wholesaler in that market prior, that conversation's open.
Yeah, and of course. Yeah. And that's, the reality is in the core markets that are now driving the volume for Uinta, there's, as Jeremy said, there's room to grow there. And, our hope is that, our team, our U.S. Beverage sales force can help that. That's the short-term focus. Long-term, is where we'll analyze, moving back into other markets out of state. But, we need to win in the core markets first. And there are many distributors that are doing, a really good job, an excellent job on the Uinta brand. There's no reason for us to disrupt that.
Pardon me for jumping in, but this might be private. But what's the financial relationship? Like what happened here? I don't, what's going on?
It's a U.S. Beverage and Crestone out of family office group out of Colorado are equal ownerships of the new co that purchased Uinta. So I'm not going to share the details beyond that, but we are equal partners.
We want to hear dollars. Come on, guys. Come on, spill the beans here. Come on.
I can't do that. You know that, Harry.
Justin,
I know.
Would you possibly look at later on down the road, maybe bringing on more partners?
Yeah, potentially. Potentially, if they make sense. I think, it's safe to say that we'd be looking at other breweries as well down the road. And again, well down the road, we got some, a lot of work to do with Uinta and folding our companies together. That said, we are huge buyers and, very interested, obviously, in the craft beer space. And that's not going to go away. It
sounds to me like, I'm sorry to jump in, but you're a craft, or not a craft, but a beer and beverage platform. That's the new word everybody's throwing around. That, we have an infrastructure, we have a sales team, we have relationships. Instead of going it on your own, and
I'll finish your thought for you.
Thank you.
Uinta had actually started evolving into becoming a bit of a platform on our own. I mean, we've started developing brands, and we actually have licensed a couple of brands and worked on developing a wider stance, I would say. Now, our focus remains what we could enact in our current territory with the resources we had. All Justin really does is supercharge that. So, they are already a platform in their own right with the brands they own, and there's brands they license and develop.
They were a platform before people started calling it a platform. I mean, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. So that's why, for me, it was so exciting, is that the concepts of what we were doing marry up in such a complementary way with what they're doing and what we're doing. So now with the expertise of Justin and his team and our side, we've got both ends of the spectrum to start working it.
Yeah, and from our perspective, these days in the industry, you need scale, and you need scale as far as, your reach on the sales team. You need scale and volume. And, we like bringing in the right brands into our portfolio because it enables me to invest more bodies on feet on the street, distributor management types, to build that platform, Harry, that you mentioned. So, that's not going to stop. I think we'll continue to look at opportunities as they come outside of our existing portfolio, because the more I can invest in manpower to help our distributors and retailers out, the more I think all the brands in our portfolio will benefit.
I have to ask too at this point, does this come with any sort of retooling or rebranding of Uinta, maybe to be more beyond beer oriented, for example, and the days of beyond beer these days, right?
No, of course. No, it's a great question. The heart and soul of Uinta brand has always reflected its lifestyle here in Salt Lake and the surrounding region, and the namesakes for the beers. We followed this very traditional path of many craft brewers with their home destinations. So that's not going to change. I mean, it still has resonance for our local market, and especially again as people come into the state and recognize the brand and take it away. We started, with Hop Nosh and others to sort of break out of that, and there may be opportunities for Uinta extensions that start to lean outside of that sort of core personality. But for the most part, the Uinta brand stays with, I think, the brewery and stays true to itself. Now, we've already started working on innovations that explore new paths, whether that be Westwater, which we launched a year ago, again, very much a regional based seltzer, but it gives us a platform. We're launching a hard limeade version of that this year. There's some NA work that we've done or put into the facility. There's some R&D that's still ongoing that may enable us to branch into whole new ground, white space that we maybe, haven't yet explored. Uinta has always had those kinds of visions and opportunities. We've had a bifurcated portfolio with the Utah and the out of state, which makes our operation pretty complicated to begin with. You start adding dimensions like what I'm talking about, there's some CapEx involved, and there's, frankly, some key learnings, but that's really where we're at right now is, keeping an open mind. And we know the USB sales team's going to come in with their own ideas too. And we're certainly open to that. So it's going to be interesting. We see ourselves as a full beverage company, not just a craft brewer anymore, although craft beer is still what we do best and it's still our heart and soul. But, we have to diversify. We have to expand our range of offerings.
Any interest in spirits?
Interest, it's different license, and in Utah creates its own set of challenges. The DABC here is, of course,
What?
the only.
I did not know that Utah was any different from any other state.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
going on?
Oh, let's. Well,
Is it
that's
still
a conversation.
it's not-
You have another
it's not a-
podcast?
It's not a 3-2. Yeah, right.
Oh, you're right. 12:30. We gotta go.
Yeah.
You know what,
yeah.
Jeremy? Let's you and I start a podcast just on how Utah laws are different. Yeah.
I am so excited to start that. You name the day, we'll record it. It's going to be great. It's riveting.
Yeah, riveting.
Riveting. Yes.
Yeah.
All told,
ahead.
spirits are, we've got some local partners. We're good friends with the folks at High West, which is a Constellation business. We've got a lot of people in the industry that we share resources with, and no plan right now to get into distilling, but you never know. Justin may have something up his sleeve and wants to talk, but at the end of the day, we'll let our partners, guide us on that front for sure.
I have one last question. If Jordan and Jenn want to, as you can see, we don't plan these in advance. Like we just like, if you have a question, you better jump in, or you're gonna get lost.
You go for
right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not like, hey, you do this, you do that. We're not like other companies that plan shit. One of our predictions for 2022 is that craft beer is going to do well overall, but there's going to be individual companies that aren't going to make it for a lot of reasons. And
Sure.
And stimulus is kind of running out now from COVID and whatnot. What do you see as kind of that mid-level or smallish craft segment doing
Sure.
this year?
That's a good question, and it's a little bit emotionally laden because I mean we're going to see some fallout. There's no doubt about it. We're already seeing signs of it. I've noted a couple of craft breweries up for sale, even in our local market. They're definitely going to be on the smaller end or newer guys. The pressures of this industry, which are multiple in any way, were greatly increased, I would say, with this packaging shortage and with some of the pressures on costs right now. And brewers that didn't necessarily have good understanding of their cost to make, didn't necessarily have the accounting procedures to really tackle some of these things, have no economies of scale of their own right, and are missing some variables, I would say, whether it be just best practices on some management or other things, are just going to continue to suffer the consequences. And unfortunately, those are the people that are most at risk in the immediate short term. There's actually probably some bigger brands that are going to continue to be at risk just because, again, the leverage in the market, as you indicated, is gone. And really, you're going to continue to struggle with some fairly hefty bills and other things. So it's just a capital intensive business. You need smart people around you. You need to surround yourself with great suppliers and great partners all the way through. And they're harder to find. You got to work twice as hard, from what my earliest days in the business, which were, spent in a Midwestern brewery that knew how to sell a whole lot of beer in its home footprint. So, but at the end of the day, these are the kinds of relationships. Yesterday was a slow news day I saw for you guys, but these kinds of relationships, these kinds of acquisitions, these kinds of partnerships, people will get creative or they're going to have struggles. And my heart goes out to them because, again, these are brothers and sisters in the business who are, very passionate and love what they do and want to make great beer, but there's just headwinds galore. And, everybody's going to fight the fight.
Jeremy, I couldn't agree with you more. It is sad. People that we all know, just struggling, and it sucks because it's so capital intensive. I mean, it just sucks money. But once you cover those fixed costs, it's so gravy. It's so
your worries don't go away though.
No. My worry, I'm 53 years old. I'm still worried about paying my electricity bill. So,
well, you're a beautiful man. It's good that you pay your bills. And
I do pay. I pay them mostly.
The
Depending on how crucial it is.
Yeah. Well, let's just say until I got seated in this chair, wastewater wasn't a hot topic around the marketing circles in the craft beer industry. So, these are the things that add pressure every day. You make decisions on and again, learn as you go for a lot of these things, but there's a lot of people that don't have the resources that even I've had here with Uinta and with our ownership. And, the good news is, from that standpoint, there are good partners. You just have to work really, really hard to establish those links and those relationships. And, I'm lucky. I get to work with Justin. I get to work with his team. I get to work with some really, really fine people here at Uinta. And, I hope others get similar luck or success.
Likewise. And Justin, do you have a message for America that's uplifting? Because we're all just, I'm hoping we can still have our beer summit in 3 weeks. So far, we've only had like 5 people cancel.
That's
out
great.
Out of 350. But we need a message of hope, Justin.
Yeah, listen, I'm the internal optimist, and I think the best part is 2021 is behind us.
Done.
But I'm optimistic, and listen, I'll speak to the industry we're in, and Harry, you always have been a champion for it. Listen, I said it the other day to the Uinta team, we're an industry of grinders, right? We have a passion for brewing awesome beer. We have an incredible passion for getting out and selling the product on the streets. I think that spirit is going to carry this industry to the promised land, and we're going to get through the rough patches of the last year and a half. And
And-
I'm very
and-
optimistic 2022 for sure.
Well, you were smart to call it, you guys, United States beverage, because it ain't a beer industry anymore, buddy. It's a beverage industry, and it
You're right.
includes everything that you can drink and eat now, I think. So, well, guys, thank you so much. Unless Jordan or Jen, you have a follow-up. I know Jen always likes to. Here she goes.
No,
Come on.
Jen has to jump off. So it
Oh.
was wonderful to chat with you guys.
Oh, okay.
Thank
Great
you
to
so
see you
much.
again.
That
Thanks
is
a bunch,
so,
guys.
Thank
very,
you.
very un-Jen-like, but well, thanks. Thanks for being on. Very informative, and I wish you guys the best of luck. And it's going to be fun, man. At least we can say it's going to be fun.
Yes,
Right.
it will be.
Right.
Thank you so
Right.
much. We appreciate
right,
the
guys.
time and attention, guys. Appreciate
Thanks,
that.
y'all. Best of luck.
All right.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Great to
Jordan.
see you all.
Bye,
Bye,
Harry.
Jordan.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Harry.